And welcome to Into the Mystic with Morgan Dragonmoon, everybody. I am your host, Morgan Dragonmoon, here in the flesh, so to speak. I'm recording live inside of my office. Well, our office, I should say. I just lost my train of thought. I do apologize for that. But what we're going to be talking about tonight is we're going to be talking about what's coming up in October and possibly November. So if you think things are going to be crazy now, they're going to get a little worse, since we are kind of going through the final death, so to speak, of the third dimensional realm as we are in right now. But third dimensional realm technically doesn't exist anymore. We're, so to speak, inside the fifth dimension as we speak right now, but everything in the third dimension is still here and slowly starting to die. So, with that a little bit out of the way, we're also be talking about what a tulpa is. A tulpa is a very interesting subject. So, we'll be talking about that as well. We'll be also talking about the current planetary positions as of right now in my hometown of Grand Forks, which I'm in right now. And I will be... What's another thing I wanted to talk about? I will be reviewing one deck I have here right now. I'm going to either be reviewing the Dark Goddess deck, which is Wisdom Oracle deck, the Crow Tarot deck, my Rider-Waite deck that I have, the standard Rider-Waite deck. And I think this other one's the Gilded Tarot. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll randomly pick one. But anyways, let me get the screen set up so that I can show you the current planetary positions as of right now. Just 1 second. And here we go. I think that should be... Nope, not that one. There we go. I think you should be able to see it fine. Oh, let me get out of full screen here. Okay, so you should be seeing it fine right now. So as of right now, the sun is currently 17 degrees 4 in Libra, which is an air sign. The moon is currently 15 degrees 57 Cancer. Mercury is 10 degrees 42 Scorpio. Venus is in Virgo at 8 degrees and 17. Mars is in the fire sign of Aries at 22 degrees 22. Retrograde. Mars is still in retrograde, by the way, so if you're feeling rather aggressive and maybe even, dare I say, sexually frustrated, that's partially why. Jupiter is in Capricorn at 18 degrees 33, not retrograde. Saturn is finally not retrograde anymore. It's at 25 degrees 25 Capricorn, and that eventually will be going into the sign of Aquarius once again. Uranus is now 9 degrees 32 in the sign of Taurus, Earth sign. That is retrograde. Neptune is 18 degrees 48 Pisces, retrograde. Pluto is 22 degrees 29 Capricorn. That's an Earth sign. The node is 23 degrees 15 Gemini, retrograde. It's still in Gemini, by the way. That's the north node. The south node would be in Sagittarius, as you can tell in the chart. Lilith is 28 degrees 43 Aries, and Chiron, the wounded healer, is in 6 degrees 42 Aries, retrograde. When was the last time we had Chiron in Aries? I think that was during the Vietnam War, 1968, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so as you can tell, this is where all the planets are in right now. So, ooh, Saturn's in the 12th house right now. No, take that back. It's in the 11th. That is the house of governments and businesses. So is Pluto and Jupiter. So we have a planet that's contracting, expanding, and killing all in the same house right now. So this is the house of like governments and stuff like that. So as you can tell right now, a lot of things are happening right now with governments. It's not just the United States, it's also around the world as well. So right now, you know what they say about the third dimensional things are starting to die, like I said earlier. That's what's going on right now. The governments are starting to slowly whittle to nothing. I mean, how would I say this nicely? Well, honestly, I don't really care about being nice, but whoever wins the election, which I already know who won, is going to be the last president of the United States. Because the United States, I want to say by the end of, I'm not sure exactly what year, but I want to say give between 2021 to 2023 is when all of the world governments are going to collapse. And I think the United States government's going to be the first one. And it's going to be like a domino effect. And I don't want you to panic because governments are supposed to collapse. Governments collapsed for thousands of years. We had the Roman Republic collapse once it became the Roman Empire. Alexander the Great's kingdom finally collapsed. Holy Roman Empire collapsed. Third Reich collapsed. A lot of these countries and governments have collapsed in the past, so it's part of the cycle of life. But however, this is when finally we will not have any government anymore, which I honestly think that humanity does not need to be governed by rulers and principalities anymore. I think they have the ability to self-govern themselves. You might disagree with me. That's fine. You have your own personal beliefs. I have mine. So anyways, that is what the chart of the moment looks like right now, and we can go through these aspects as well. So right now the sun is squaring off against the moon. So we have the self-identifying planet of the sun, which is representing the self, squaring off against the moon, which is your emotions. So your emotions and yourself right now are kind of not in a very good place right now. So if you're feeling kind of like you're struggling with your own emotions, that's why. And then the sun is opposition to Mars. That's not very good either, because the squaring is kind of like challenging. So it's like it's going to be a little difficult. Oppositions are literally headbutting. So you have yourself headbutting with your aggressiveness, your sexual passion. So a lot of people's tempers and, like I said, the sexual frustrations right now are starting to grow. So that's partially the reason why. And Mars is in retrograde too, so that's not a very healthy thing right now. So, like all these other astrologists out there are saying that we pretty much are at the event horizon for when everything's going to hit the fan, so to speak, or it will. And then we also got the sun squaring off against Jupiter and Saturn, so the expansion and contraction planets. Yeah, not a very good time for the sun right now. The sun's quintucruxing against Neptune right now, which is pretty, I wouldn't say it's bad. Like I said, I'm not really fully aware of like the different terms of astrology. Let me look at what quintucrux means. Oh, it's a geometric pattern consisting of 5 points arranged across. Ah. It's the most important aspect in the chart. It's pretty much described as being a rock in a hard place. So I guess it's not a very good thing. And then we have the sun squaring off against Pluto. Not fun, because that usually represents death, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think sun squaring off against Pluto usually means death in some aspect. So, I'm actually interested in seeing how that plays out in the United States chart, but I'd have to find that on a different site. So, yeah, that's what the chart of the moment currently looks like. Oh, did I forget to go through the rest of the stuff? I do apologize. Let me get that back up. Okay, here we go. So then we have the moon trining Mercury, which is pretty cool. I think it's not a bad thing. Moon squaring Mars, yeah, that's not very good either. Moon opposition of Jupiter, moon opposition of Saturn. Like I said, these planetary positions are not the best at all. Mercury sextiling Venus. Mercury opposition Uranus. Venus trine with Uranus. You got Mars squaring Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. Good gosh, it's like a big square with all like Mars, the sun, Mars and the sun, and Lilith are squaring like Saturn and Pluto. The node is squaring against Neptune. Has to do with like imagination and fantasy, I guess. Whereas Uranus deals with like rebellion and stuff like that. So lovely. But kind of brutal. So, anyways, let's find the United States chart. Just go to astrobeats.com. It'll be a little bit before I get this up, but I'm also thinking about maybe setting up a shop, not like a Teespring shop. So like selling merchandise for the podcast and maybe possibly some Jade Dragonmoon stuff as well, since that's my actual store. All right, so let's go to extend chart settings. Not the partner. He wants the natal chart with transits and progressions are combined. And now we'll put the date at 3rd November 2020. Of true node, mean known, setting known, Pars Fortuna. Interesting. Aspects to Chiron. Actually, let's do aspects to all objects. Yeah, let's do the chart. See what happens. All right, let me get the chart up for you here. Oh, man. As you can tell, this is not very good right now. Let's see. Okay, that's progression. And then there's transits. No, thankfully Pluto's not squaring against the sun. But as you can tell, there's a lot of fire and air right now, very little earth. Let's see what we got here. Pluto is going to be in the second. Oh, wait, no, that's the birth. That's his the progression transit. Okay, so we got Pluto squaring natal sun going on here. Hold on one second here. Let me just fix this up a little bit. It's a little complex right now. I might have added a little too much stuff in there. Let's do natal chart and transits. All right, let's do this again. Okay. So as you can tell, we have the United States of America here. It was born on the 4th of July, 1776 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So that's where the Declaration of Independence was signed. And yeah, it's still a mess. Ugh. Okay, so we don't have a Pluto squaring against the sun. Squaring against the sun squaring against Chiron though, so that's, I wouldn't say that's very good. But look at that, we got a square aspect. I mean, look at that. You see like a star there? Like multiple different pentagrams there? That's insane. But this is like really busy. I mean, look at all the, those are all the natal alignments of United States. Right now, this is where the outside is their transits currently. So then we will have Pluto squaring off against its natal Pluto. Look at that. We got all these in the house, the second house. That's the personal finances and possessions. So I see an economic collapse coming, but then it's already going on right now. So we got the, yeah, look at that. We got Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter all in the second house of the United States on November 3rd. And then we got a retrograde Uranus in the 5th house, and that's children, fun, creativity. So I see something to do with the children that day. Some kind of rebellion or something. I'm not sure quite yet. The moon is emotions. We have that in the 6th house. That's work and family, work and health. So yeah, emotions are heating up that day, I feel. Where's Mars? Where are you at, Mars? Oh, you're in the 4th house. That is the house of family, mother, the past. So we got some fiery energy going on here. I don't know. I'm getting a feeling this could be something very ugly going on that day. Let's go check a look and see what it looks like on November 4th, day after the election. And once again, you see there's multiple pentagrams inside of this chart. There's definitely going to be some weird occult activity going on that day. But maybe that's just me being paranoid. I don't know. But there will be people working that day for sure in the occult on both sides of the spectrum, you could say. Where's the sun? So we got the transit sun in the 11th house. That's where governments and stuff like that. So the sun's in there. Mercury is also there as well. But yeah, Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter are all going to be in the second house again. Saturn squaring off against the United States' natal Pluto, it looks like. Oh, it's squaring off against. Oh, okay, that's the sun. Okay, but yeah, it looks like it's squaring off against the sun. Saturn. Sorry. Okay, so where is? I want to say we got a Pluto natal sun square here in the second house. As possessions, personal finances, and stuff like that. So I honestly see I think that's when the economy is going to start to tank. Or it's already starting to go that way, but I don't know. It's not going to be a very good night. Or day, I should say. So if I were you, maybe ask for it off. I don't know. I did. So anyways, that is what the United States' natal chart with the November election looks like. And I will play a little video here really quick about the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto convergence. That's going to be happening in 2020. So I'm going to get that screen set up here, share the audio, and then we will play it. All right, and here we go.
So we have here this conjunction I talked about, the 1285 conjunction that heralded the beginning of the end of the medieval age and the end of the Chinese and Mongol empires that were expanding, the complete collapse, the sudden and unexpected collapse of those empires, and the beginning of the collapse of the caliphate, the various different caliphates that were operative during that time in the Middle East. So at the time, just keep in mind, it wasn't Europe. Europe was a bunch of struggling city-states and was certainly secondary or tertiary players compared to the Abbasid Caliphate and the Mongol Empire and Chinese Empire that existed during those periods. It was the collapse of those empires during this period. This was a seeding period that resulted in a massive geopolitical repolarization and reconfiguration with the rise of the European city-states that would eventually become nation-states about the time of the Renaissance and the emergence of the scientific revolution and the age of discovery. This seeding period began here during this 1285 triple conjunction. Now, we have that same conjunction occurring here, and it will happen, the triple conjunction in itself will happen around approximately mid-January, January 15th, 2020. But we can see here, looking at this horoscope, the ingress, the beginning of the astrological new year begins on March 20th, 21st, when the sun ingresses at the 0 Aries point on the world point. You'll see a quadruple conjunction, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, all in very tight conjunction between 22 and 29 degrees of Capricorn. So what we're seeing here is the convergence of titanic forces. And these forces are very similar to what drove the dynamics in the late 1930s, and unlike any period since. And these three forces in particular have to do, again, with the wealth and political gaps that are now pervasive and systemic through every nation on the planet, the limited ability for the world's central banks to stimulate the economy in an event of an economic downturn, where the central banks are essentially losing control of the global economy, and the rising power of China challenging the existing world power of the United States. So let's go into them in particular. Now, when I talked about the positive side to the Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, the unceasing impulse towards renewal and regeneration, the awareness of the growth promoting value of painful experiences or setbacks, or recognition of the positive side of adversity and suffering for some form of transformation followed by transcendence to occur. However, there's a very powerful negative side. There is a shadow element to this conjunction, and the nature of Saturn Pluto in itself is not an easy one for most people to accept. So Jupiter has very much to do with philosophy. It has to do with a worldview or a philosophical approach. So what we'll see here with this Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto triple conjunction that'll be operative. And remember, folks, it is coming into place now. It is coming into place now. It's formulating. It is within very tight orb. In mundane astrology, we use much larger orbs, and we look at those larger orbs, and anything within 10 degrees that is culminating is already in effect. So what we're going to see is a philosophical justification for ruthless pursuits and hardened, ruthless ambition, where the ends justify the means. This will happen on both sides of the spectrum. This is going to happen with the young and the old, the rich and the poor, the Democrats and the Republicans. It's going to happen where there's going to be a philosophical justification for ruthless, hardened, ambitious pursuits where the ends will justify the means. The ethic of the survival of the fittest, the desire to raise one at the expense of others, is going to prevail at this time. And this is going to play out not only within this country, but it's going to play out with the European Union in regards to British exit. It's going to play itself out with how China and the United States are playing their political chess moves with each other. And we're seeing here a systematic and calculating opportunism that is going to be pervasive and systemic in the body politic of not only the US, which we're seeing now with the impeachment or the so-called impeachment process. There's still no impeachment yet, by the way. Let's get that straight. And the state of being dominated. There's a state of being dominated by inner energies. And at the same time that we see this systematic calculating opportunism for ruthless pursuit where the ends justify the means and the survival of the fittest is the end game, then we're also going to see at the same time a breakdown of the fractional reserve system, the fiat money system or the fiat currency system, fractional reserve banking system, fractional reserve lending system. And we will also see the constricting effects of the mechanistic, materialistic, scientific worldview on humanity and human evolution begin to break down as well. There will be revelations within industry where the breakdown of the mechanistic, materialistic means of production and economy will begin to break down and go through a transformation. The constricting effects of the mechanistic, materialistic, scientific worldview will begin to break down based on new revelations and breakthroughs, a breakdown on what we believe how humanity actually came into being. I believe there will be revelations that will destroy the whole premise of evolution as we have been taught to understand it in our primary and secondary education. So we're going to see that play out. And also there's going to be an awareness of the greed and aggression as civilization destroyers. People are aware of this now, but it's going to become blatant, where greed is not our friend. Aggression has its limits. And the greed and aggression that has been so pervasive and systemic for the 20th century, the fallout from that is going to come up very strongly. And so we'll see the breakdown of the materialistic compensation in modern life as wholly inadequate for the soul. We'll see more suicides. We'll see more people having more near-death and attempted suicides, or suicides, especially in the baby boomers population, where they believe that materialistic compensation for the type of modern life that they were duped into living is going to fall short. They're not going to have that retirement they were planning. We'll see that the beginning and collapse of the investment, the traditional establishment systems, all of this is going to happen. So there's going to be an unceasing impulse to renewal and regeneration, a capacity for stupendous need to be disciplined in service to this vast evolutionary wave. And it's very important here to keep your perspective that what is happening now is unprecedented in history. Unprecedented. So let's go into the particulars real quick.
So as you can see, pretty much the third dimension's dying. So a lot of things that humanity literally thought were true, like how humanity was supposedly, let me put this up really quick. How humanity thought evolution was, how a lot of the Abrahamic faiths thought that we were created from the Abrahamic God. But if you go back to the ancient texts from the Sumerian times, that would not be the case. We were created as a subservient race to the Anunnaki. And they spliced their DNA along with DNA from apes. So yes, there is a little bit of an ape DNA inside of us, as well as reptilian. But there's also other different species as well inside of us as well. So there's going to be a lot of revelations coming out that a lot of people in the occult / community conspiracy theorist groups already knew was true. And I would say if 2020 had a card spread, it would be first one would definitely be death, because a lot more people are dying from you know what. I'm not going to say it out loud because I'm planning on posting this on YouTube. Second one would be this one for sure. A lot of injustices that are actually real injustices, not the ones that they want you to see. The ones that actually are happening behind the scenes in the shadows are going to finally be unveiled into the light, even though there's nothing wrong with the dark, honestly, because you can't have light without dark, dark without light, etc. And lastly, this card, most of you are aware of this card. You can definitely tell that representing the collapse of governments or collapse of your stability, emotional fortitude, and stuff like that. But yeah, I totally see that happening, and I do feel it right now. And we're already in October. It's already October 9th. So not only that, but I honestly think once the sun moves into Scorpio, that's when stuff's starting to happen. I still think there's going to be an invasion coming, an alien invasion. But like they were saying, some of the stuff that's hidden truths will be coming out too. So I honestly think the people that we think that are the bad guys in this invasion are actually our friends. They're just pretending to be the bad guys. If there is such thing as bad guys, I honestly don't know. But good news is we'll be just like the Phoenix once it rises from the ashes. So, all right, it's about 36:27 into the podcast. Let's quickly talk about one more thing before we go. Well, two more quick things. If you follow the Morgan Dragonmoon Facebook page as well as the YouTube channel, which is just going to be on, we're going to be doing a giveaway eventually. I'm hoping so around the end of the month. This is for people in the United States only. So I'm going to be posting on Into the Mystic Facebook page as well as my own personal page. It may be Jade Dragonmoon too. I'm going to give those people that are following that my business a chance as well. But I'm only going to be limiting it to people in the United States. So what I'm going to be giving away definitely fits for Halloween. So the Hocus Pocus board game. I have a copy of it myself, but I have not just one, but 2 copies I'm giving away. So if you're interested in joining that contest, you can email on the bottom or like the post and comment Hocus Pocus need to focus or something funny like that on the actual comment, and then you'll be entered in the drawing. Like I said, this is for US residents only. International shipping right now is kind of a hassle, so I'm limiting this only to United States residents. Maybe we'll do another giveaway next time for international residents, depending on how big this podcast ends up going and stuff like that. So, like I said, I'm still kind of weighing in on whether or not I want to do the Teespring Into the Mystic stuff and stuff from the other 2 channels as well, or the other 2 spots as well. But if you do want merchandise, I'm still thinking about selling some. So, and if you're a Jade Dragonmoon follower, we will be giving away the pair of glasses pretty soon, as well as the Hocus Pocus stuff. So now let's go to the final thing of the day. We're talking about the Tulpa. Do I want to share the screen or should I just read it off to you? I'll just read it off to you. Tulpas are seemingly sentient autonomous. Gosh dang it, Dad. Of course you interrupt my podcast. Sorry about that. Tulpas are seemingly sentient autonomous mental creations subjectively experienced by a being from their own agency. So this site's probably not a very good site to read this from. So, short story, tulpas are entities that are created by human thoughts or emotions. Kind of like, they're kind of like imaginary imaginary friends, except depending on how you create them, they can be a little sometimes. All depends. But I definitely suggest you watch Christian Whistleblower's channel on YouTube. He has a really good episode about tulpas. He thinks that, well, you'll just have to watch it and find out. So we are about I'm going to wrap this up now because apparently I'm being summoned to another place. But thank you for watching and listening to this recording. I'm planning on doing one more for this month, another Halloween themed one. We'll talk about the origins of Samhain. I want to talk about the ofrenda too, about what an ofrenda is, because those are fascinating. I've been making one every single year ever since I started down this path, because Day of the Dead is a very important cultural thing for people from Mexico, and I have family from Mexico, so. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about the god of the underworld, Hades, because I'm going to be doing a class about him and channeling him, so that's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll get some people to show up for that, but who knows? It all depends on fate, I guess. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful evening, or whatever time it is there. So, bye for now.